Welcome to the Free and Fully Expressed podcast, the space where we don't do surface level inspiration. We do soul deep reclaiming. I'm Jackie B, your shamanic soul guide, mama of three, and your reminder that you were never meant to just survive. You were always meant to be free, fully expressed, and fiercely alive. Each week, I'll be dropping raw truths, sacred mirror moments, and rebellious reminders to help you rise into the woman you came here to be. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. Today's episode is the power of your words and your stories, especially when they come from your core. With Mary H. Because your story isn't too messy, too small, or too much. It is the medicine that makes you unforgettable. I am so excited to get diving in here. I'm going to first start out by asking Mary to share a little bit about her story, the messy middle, the reclaiming, what got her to this space and truly uncovering and revealing this space, that version that is in front of us right now.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And this is really amazing timing because just last week I had a breakthrough. And so, yeah, when you say getting here, we're really in the freshest version. How far back do we go? I mean, I could just...
I always say that when somebody tells me to tell their story, I'm like, you do realize I'm a wordy woman here.
Yeah, never
I have a lot going on.
Exactly.
What are key moments is what comes to my mind. Key moments that the listeners can get a little snapshot of you. And we know it never does full justice, but at least it gives key points that are big movers in your life.
Okay. So I think just like we were saying before the show, I've been a writer since I was in 6th grade and editor of the paper. And it's just a thread through my whole life. And I've bounced back and forth, the angel and the devil on your shoulder between marketing and strategy and quote unquote responsible jobs. And then being in publishing and writing and all of that. And in this online space over the course of this year, I was putting together this massive program about branding. And I just love the whole story piece of branding and that it combines the strategy, and the writing. And it just felt so big and so challenging and hard to explain it to people. And then last week I had that breakthrough of I have this part of me that I wasn't bringing online, which is all of the mental wellness and mental health work I've done my whole life. And so I realized that is such a huge value to me and such a huge part of my mission of wanting to help people in that space be successful, as well as being part of the change myself. And so I decided to call myself the somatic copywriter because, I just love working on sales pages and all of websites and all of these things with brand as the foundation, and making sure that the communication is telling stories, micro moments in a way that is empowering, that is helping people see what's possible, that is not using language that agitates a pain point, something that
not knocking them down so they feel bad.
Yes,
and then they want to do that. No.
Exactly. That's why I named my company Doorbridge, because I was always I want to help people open the door to the magic that's inside of them and then build the bridge from inside of them to the world.
Yes.
And so I was just so excited that I had that download, and it just all feels so much more doable and me and the next layer of evolution. So
absolutely. And I want to speak into that for the people that don't know Mary. I've known Mary for a little while now. And it's people can look at it of, oh no, she pivoted. And we had this conversation the other day. She didn't pivot. This has been Mary. It's finding the words, but that's her magic. So I always call her she is Mary the godmother, because literally you think Cinderella and poof, she just brings this vision to life. That's what Mary does. She not only brings the vision to life, but she gives it the words. She gives it the voice that really takes it from the unseen in your mind, right? You see it in your mind, but not out there, and helps you bring it and articulate it in a way that it lands and actually you can see, feel, experience it in real life. She's done it with me as we go through, and she reflects back and saying like, Jackie, this is what I see, and you hear you say, and I'm like, oh, you finally put the words on the piece that I was like trying to express and dance around, and I didn't know how to make it land in a way that it makes sense. But it's like she feels the energy. That's why when she said to me like I'm switching to somatic copywriter, I was like, that is it. That's the piece, because she brings it from the body and in the vision, right? The energy. She takes the energy, she feels it, and then she can mirror it back to you in a way and help. It's not even like you just give the words. You activate a piece in them. You truly do. Like in me, I will speak on me. Like you activate that part that already knew my truth, but for some reason it's like we dance around it like that might be a little too big. Like my good girl wounds like kind of like hide around that part of like, ooh, do I want to shine that big? Like, is that safe? And then it's like you give the permission slip almost and activate that, and you turn that light up, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. That's been there the whole time, and I didn't even realize it. Like I can do that. And it's like a snowball effect, because it's like now I feel this. I got a little bit of me back. We were talking about my story when we before we started this, is I hit all these achievement points, because that's what my worth was in how much I could do or be or produce for somebody else. And but every time I hit those mile points, those check marks, those achievements, it would be like, okay, what's next? Like I wouldn't, for one, it would be on the outside, like the checkbox of a celebration about, okay, good job, Jackie, but, and it wouldn't, like, I wouldn't allow it in. And then it would be like, what's missing? Like, I'd start doing it. I get like almost that honeymoon phase of like, okay, I did this next chapter. Awesome. Good job. Good job, Jackie. And then it would be, what's next? Because it was always like I had to achieve and improve myself that way. But it was like, but something was always like deep inside my gut, like my core, like I could feel it, is like something's missing. Like, that's awesome. I thought this was going to be the part that made me feel whole. Something's missing. Something's missing. Until I realized on my journey, I was missing. It was me. And that's why I do what I do. But I see that, and we were talking about that a little bit before we started here. I see that in what Mary does, is she helps you express and bring you back, not just in brand, but in life. Because I would love for you to share your point of view on what a brand is, because we were talking about that too, is a brand's not just for business. So if you're listening and you don't have a business, this is still something you want to key up, because this is how you show up for life. So go ahead and share like kind of how you see a brand in general.
Sure. So I see a brand as other people's experience of you. So even if you haven't set out to create a brand, every time someone interacts with you or your business, they are walking away with a story about you that they've created in their own mind. Whether you care, what you value, the emotions that you evoke. And so even if you are not intentionally doing it, you just can't help it. That's just how we're wired. And so when I work with people and we create brands, I love working with people who have had years of client experience, and then you can go back and you talk to those clients and you surface all of these beautiful gems that you, when you're a heart-led, mission-driven person, right, you are just putting forth the best of you. And then to see those clients reflect that back to you and get all these nuggets, it's like, it's so healing and fulfilling. And it's not just fruitful for your business copy, but it really is personal development too.
Well, yeah,
And
it's like a
that's
mirror
why I
back
love
of
this
like,
work.
ooh, okay, good. Like I am
Yeah.
like the way I realized, and like they see the like this most beautiful piece that maybe sometimes we're blind to, because we're so
Yeah.
focused on like
Or we think
what needs to be
everybody does
done.
it. We think everybody does it. And then you find out like, no, not everybody does that. You're like,
Exactly. That's
what?
actually a true
Really?
gift. That isn't natural. So true, so true. I just love that. And I think that's the important part, that how important stories are. And we are, like what you're saying, your brand is like your personality, your aspects of how you show up in the world, who you be, not what you do. Yes, doing is part of it, but that's not the core. It's who you be, the energetic sequence. Because if you show up in a room, you can tell a story and put out an understanding without even actually opening your mouth. And like when I realized that, like how much impact you can make on a person without even speaking. Because when we talked about that, we mirrored that, and I've been in spaces where like it's like, okay, now give feedback of everybody, even if you didn't interact with them, just from first glances, those first impressions. And it's funny because it's not always the person. It's once again, we mirror everything. So I will see certain characteristics that I admire and certain things that scare the crap out of me about me in somebody else as well. The shadows and the lights and all things. And I think that that's the thing. And you were talking earlier about the two beings on your shoulder of like, do I go and be in a safe like strategy type world, or do I allow my creativity? And I think that's the journey of life. And that's the
Yeah.
story, is finding the messy middle between both of them, allowing them to weave it. Like you can't see me, I'm like weaving my hands. But like that's what it is it's like bringing both sides. And I feel like that's the bridge and the sacred union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies, like is alive within all of us. And that's the journey of like when we find the sweet spot, and it's always going to be an evolving process, right? It's not like a staying still. I always say this, and if you've been in my world even for 5 minutes, you probably heard me say like a heartbeat. You don't want a flatline ever. Like, so we don't want to be a regulated like zombie our whole life. No, it's good to have a regulated baseline. Beautiful. That's what we desire, right? But we want these ups and downs because that's what makes us alive. We feel the different pieces. But yes, so sorry, my alarm went off and like pulled me out of my zone. But it's like this rhythm of life. It's not about being perfect. It's about experiencing the ride and the ebbs and flows of life.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this earlier where you when you're when you want to be creative, sometimes you can think that structure, or as you call it, like the masculine side, can be limiting that creativity. But actually, you had this beautiful metaphor of like a river and a riverbed, and how the riverbed allows you to flow. Otherwise, you'd be a puddle, right?
It
And
holds
so,
you.
yeah, and so that's why, like, I structure is important. Trying to realize the patterns and the thought processes that you use as you're creating.
Yes.
Is
Well, and if you
it's
think about it,
it's
even if you
symbiotic, right?
yeah, even if you use the water, the river metaphor. So you have the beautiful divine structure of the riverbeds holding you in and allowing that divine feminine to flow through and create the current that creates the momentum. But if you think about it, sometimes we create dams. Sometimes those dams are important. Those masculine structures there, sometimes they're so rigid that you're literally backing up the flow of your creativity and it literally wants to overflow, right? And there's certain constructs and limiting things. Sometimes it's not that we have to break the whole dam down. It's remembering we can open the dam and allow this equilibrium and harmony within us. And sometimes it's like we created this dam and really we're creating destruction down here later in life, but we this temporary means helped this situation where we're at, but we didn't realize the snowball effect. And it's not about shame or guilt. It's going, oh, okay, I can see how that could help me now. And this was an important structure, but now I can alchemize that, change that, and allow the river to flow in those points. And I think that's a beautiful representation of the healing journey. It's not about these limiting beliefs that we had and these coping mechanisms. No, they were important. They're important in our story for that chapter. But we are allowed to evolve. We're allowed to look back and not beat ourselves up going, good job, Jackie. You found something. You used your resource and found something to cope and move through and survive that chapter. But my book isn't just about surviving. I had to go through those moments to find myself, right? To figure out what actually was me and what felt good and what experiences I wanted to actually cultivate and articulate later in life. And now that I'm here and I've found those freedom spaces and allowing myself to express and be more and more of me every day, I can go, okay, this was a good stepping stool of whatever. Like it was a good tool. It's like literally the image is like you have it's kind of like crafts, arts and crafts. Like you have this one thing, like you have this shirt, right? This shirt was beautiful in the 90s. I loved it. Like it was awesome. Now it doesn't fit quite the same. But instead of like just trashing the shirt, sometimes it is like, okay, beautiful, let's use this as fertilizer. Let's burn it down to the ground, turn it into the fertilizer that helps me grow. Sometimes it's like, let's cut here and add this fabric here. Let's tie this bow here and let's see what it is now. Like, and it's a total different expression piece, right? I think that that's the journey of life, and that's the part of the brand. Why brand stories, and not even brand stories, your stories in general are so important. Because if you cut those pieces out and pretend like I wish I never went through that, because I've gone through. I may be 37 years old, but I've gone through a lot in those 37 years, and it's not a pity story by any means. But they're like, Jackie, if you could change it, would you? Absolutely not.
But
Absolutely.
that's
I
how
don't even
you
have to think twice about that. I would not change one moment of that because it's created the woman sitting in front of you and listening to you right here in this moment.
exactly, exactly. And those, that in the hero's journey or the heroine's journey, right? You can extract those pieces and that align with your dream client, and you can tell the story in a way that helps them see themselves and helps them share in the wisdom that you earned the hard way.
Yeah,
Right.
to speed
and
up.
and expedite their process to healing because you've
Yeah, and
been
it
through
doesn't mean
it.
that they're not going to have effort in their own pieces, but you can then at least balance because it just, as you said that, like it reminded me of something my mom used to say to me when I was younger. Like, I lived it, Jackie. I just don't want you to experience the pain. And I said, but mom, I'm not you. That also might be my 1-3 like profile in human design that I have to trial and error and research on my own. But like she used to say that because she was so afraid of like she loved me so much she wanted to protect me, right? And
Yeah.
she didn't want me to feel that she did. But I'm like, Mom, it's no shade to you. Like I'm not trying to diss you, but I in a situation I may make different decisions. And guess what? If I make those bad decisions or whatever, quote unquote, and I get myself in a little sticky space, that's okay. Because I know you have my back. You're here. Like I'm not alone in it, and that also will help me. And this is this is just coming to me as you like. I wish you guys could see my face. Like I think that those are the moments that I realized for the first time in my life in those teenage years that it was okay to fail. I just didn't have the words in the moment that I had to fail because I came from a very perfectionist background. Like those were the patterns that ran in my life. People pleasing, perfectionist. I had to be the little Miss Sunshine all the time, and I wasn't allowed to feel the negative. And if I did, then that made me weak. And I was supposed to bring the goodness. It was my job to brighten up everybody's day, and I was damn good at it, but at the cost of myself. But I think right here in this moment that I'm realizing it was those moments in those teenage where I was trying to find my identity that I was like, I have to fail. I have to have the opportunity to fail. Even if I don't fail, like I have to have those opportunities where I kind of crash and burn a little bit and feel the sting to realize on my own path in that. I can't walk somebody else's path because that was part of my story. Everybody tried to write my story for me. And for a while I allowed it until I realized, and that's part of why I do the free and fully expressed movement, is I had to figure out who I was and what I wanted, quiet the noise, and come back to Jackie.
Yeah. Well, and it's what you always talk about with the messy middle and how important the messy middle is because that's where the alchemy is, right?
Yes.
And so I think part of the way that the messy middle can be the most productive is when you have self-trust. That's what you were just describing, is how you moved into self-trust and knowing that I'm choosing to learn some things the hard way because I trust that I am going to learn and get the gold out of this and figure out who I am. And it's just so interesting how like the creative process is the creative process, right? It doesn't matter what you're applying it to.
Mhm. It is, it's so true. And in those moments, like even what also came to me is like I remembered within me, even if I didn't have the words, that I was a resourced woman. I've always been a resource woman. And I think that that's also now reflecting that my mom's not here, because I remember in those moments of like, Mom, even if I screw up, I know you'll love me and we'll figure it out, and I'll always have somebody or something that I can do that. And now it's like a whole bittersweet feeling because my mom isn't here in the physical presence. So I don't have that physical piece of her there. Not that I don't have other beautiful resources as well, but then it also is like the mirror of, but Jackie, I also know that she's always with me. She tells me that in signs all the time, that she's always with me and she lives within me. And I am me living my life is the greatest gift for her in the way I do, and finding my own freedom and my own voice, that my own allowing myself to be seen, because those are the things that she wanted so dearly in her life, just to be enough. And I know and I can feel it, her celebrating. I am her legacy. I am her lineage of that. I am setting her free by setting myself free. That is the best way I could quote unquote save her, because that's something I beat myself up of. Like, why couldn't I save her? God, why couldn't I do it? Like, I have all these tools. Like, why couldn't I get through and just helped her go through this? And then she didn't have to end this way, and I didn't have to walk in the world without my mother physically here. And I had to come to the conclusion that Jackie, as much as you think that you can save the world, that's not something that's on your shoulders. Like, that's not my role. My role is to save myself, be my own knight in shining armor, right? And if I show up and save myself and have that self trust and that cultivate that beautiful self devotion that I'm all about, that is actually the ripple that saves the world, because I get to be the catalyst of change. And it starts in my own backyard.
and show what's possible,
Mhm.
right?
And that's another thing that I always say is like, if you want more love in the world, you want more love in your life, you have to be the beacon yourself. You be what the being, the essence, the frequency. You be it before you have it. You give it out so you can receive back in tenfold. I think that that's where it says, ask and you shall receive. To ask for something, you show up in that frequency, right? No matter how big, even if you're shaking, like even when you're shaking, like for me, it's like I'm allowing myself to be fully seen, and I've allowed myself to be seen, but only bits and parts of me
Mm,
in my life. It's the
mhm.
parts that I thought were maybe acceptable, and then when I felt safe enough, maybe some of those other little quirky parts will come out. Like, I am me in my little rebellious ways, even if the good girl like tries to um, contain it. But at the same point,
I
it's
have a good visual metaphor for that.
yes, yes.
So think about a diamond and think about how the cuts on a diamond,
Mhm.
right? The more cuts or facets of a diamond, the more brilliant it is and the more it shines. So as more of those parts come online, the more facets of you are showing, and therefore the brighter and more brilliant and beautiful the
I love
gem of you is. And I know that gems in your crown,
that. Mhm.
that's part of your
Yeah.
your
And you literally gave me a visual, and what came to me as that, like what I heard is, Jackie, that's why you've always like been drawn to you're the diamond in the rough. And
yeah.
I have been literally cultivating, polishing, developing my own internal gem of me in those and I've always been drawn to, there's many sides of everything. It's all in the perspectives. And I've always tried to look around the whole situation before I make a decision. I always like to be informed. Give me all of the pieces. I don't care how extreme it is. Show me all sides, shapes, and whatever, so then I can make the decision for me. I don't want anyone making the decision for me anymore. Like, especially in my young 20s and like late teens, like that's where I was at. Like, no, don't tell me what to do. I cannot stand when people try to tell me what to do and what I think. Like, if you tell me like this is what you think, no, are you in my head? Trust me, you're not, because I have 50 million voices. You can't tell me that they're you know exactly what's going on, because there's always a debate of something in there, and not in a bad way, in the most beautiful, healthy way. Because if everybody was just in one, like it would be a dictator in my mind, right? Like I don't want that. I don't want one person having the show all the time and everybody else's feelings and stories not matter. Like that's where I come with all of me belongs with me. Even the parts that seem to be like my rebellious little teenager inside that never got to fully express because the good girl took the mask of there, she's still in there and she's like, I want to burn it to the ground. Like, screw that. But she needs to be there because she lights that fire and that piece of the naughtiness that I wish I could have expressed sometimes. But her point is important too. And it's bringing all those pieces and finding the harmony. It's not letting one take over completely, right? Like it's just like emotion. You wouldn't want emotion. It's to fuel you, to be your signal of what's going on in this moment, but it's not supposed to take over the driver's seat. That's the difference. So it's like finding this harmony. And that's what I see is that visual that you gave me is like the multifaceted, and the more I allow myself to be seen and shine is when I allow and cut back, just like a diamond in rough, you cut back those pieces and you find the true gem that's always been in. And that's been my journey. It's literally carving the diamond in the rough out. And certain situations may have rubbed it and shown a part, even though it hurt. It showed a part of it. And then I go, ooh, okay, that's there. Now I can shine it up. I can bring that piece out. And it's slowly been finding how they say, when they carved David in in the
Yeah.
like how did you carve David David was always there. I just cut about everything that wasn't David.
Yeah.
And like
I love
that
quote.
really like resonates with me because I feel like that's been my journey, is
Yeah.
really carving away at the piece. And not that those pieces are bad. Like that's another thing. Like everyone's like, you cut out, like that also comes to my mind all the time. Like cut out all these things. No, it's about refining and polishing.
Focus.
Yeah, and it's not
Like
about
that.
that they're bad. Those can be utilized for other things, and they actually are the fuel and the fertilizer. That's why I always say, like, what is fertilizer? Like, I don't even have to say it out loud, right? Like, what is fertilizer? Fertilizer is normally something shitty and blah blah blah, like in that. But that is also what is nutrients that literally bring a plant to life. So take those shitty situations in life, right? And literally know that they're meant to be just that shit, right? So we're going to take it and we're going to put it and let it be the fertilizer to move you forward instead of being covering you in it and you're suffocating yourself. Let's use it for its divine purpose instead of trying to make it something that it's not. But yes. So much different like little nuggets of coming through in the story. And that's why I think words are so powerful. And I love your take on this because this has been in my world for a while. Because I am very the words, your words are potent and they have frequency, and being intentional and aware of your words, because it is like spell casting. You're either casting blessings or resistance on your life always, and depending on the word choice that you do. And it's not about micro correcting, it's actually just showing your awareness of what you're processing. So everyone tries to, like, if somebody's sharing a story, I hear this in the healing industry all the time. Jackie, this is my situation. Like, here's my story. And they start trying to, so many people will go, stop, I don't want to hear the story. Like, we're not going to feed the energy, whatever. But it's in that story. Or they correct it. No, it's not that you don't want that. You get to do whatever in the moment. But what is that doing to that part of me that's trying to express? Right?
So it's the dam that you were talking about
Yeah,
before.
and yes, word choice is important, but I think the potency of the story is I like to listen to my clients, share the story, express the story. I tell them to turn the freaking volume up sometimes. Like, no, stop, pause, rewind, turn that up. Don't silence those emotions that are wanting to come through. I can see her, she's peeking. Bring her out. Let her have the floor. I am giving her the mic. No one's taking the mic away. I am literally like the security right now. You have the floor. This is your space. I am honoring you in this moment. What's coming up? Because that's part of our truth. Not all of our truth, part of it.
Well, it sounds like you do parts work.
Yeah, that is exactly what I do.
Okay.
That's just one of the many facets. But yes, parts work is actually a huge part of what I do. And that's why I say reclaiming. Because in parts work, what I see is the shamanic soul return, the soul retrieval is parts work at the end of the day. I'm going in and finding those little things that we thought were gremlins. I always say this is the metaphor, that the visual that I give people. What I do is we go hand in hand with, both have flashlights, hand in hand into your quote unquote darkness or shadows, right? And we're going to shine the light. We're going to find those little gremlins that are causing havoc in our life, right? And in our subconscious minds. We call them up, and it's not that we're getting rid of them, right? We're not throwing them in a bag and getting rid of them. No, it's like we find those pieces, we honor it, we dust it off, and find out that they're the most beautiful aspects of us, and we bring them back home. That is what we do. And that is the soul return, the parts work that we talk about. I give each part of you the space to be free. That's how you set yourself free. You give them the space to honor and express and allow them to share their story. Because if you think about it, anyone that has children or been around children understand this. If you have a young child and they're trying to tell you something, and the more you try to go, shh, no, shh, shh, they like lose their minds.
Yeah, they turn up the volume.
But if you just gave them 2 seconds, full reign, this is your time to shine, and let them just express, even if they're throwing a tantrum. If you just let them express what they need to express, and a lot of time I go, are you done? Is there more? Like, let it out. Like, this is your time. Like, let it out. Like, I know you have more than that in there. And that's a lot of my work, is I encourage, like, no, we feel to a certain point. In a society, we've been taught, even if you do allow yourself to feel, you feel to a certain point and then cut it off. This is my story. I thought I was very in tune with my emotions when I was in my youth. Oh yeah, I can feel. But I always had to have it under wraps. It would be like, Jackie, suck it up, get it together. You are the strength, you are the backbone. If you fall apart, this whole thing is falling apart. Enough. Put your big girl panties on and let's move forward. But is that truly feeling?
Yeah, that's
Or
the
is it a
flat line you were
checkbox?
talking about, right?
Yeah, is it the
There was
checkbox?
no I online.
Yes.
You
And
weren't there.
so, yeah, so that was the big thing, is realizing to allow yourself to truly feel and bring those parts back, is to let them have the floor. Because just like the little kid, like if you let them tell their story and you're not in resistance of them, what do you mean you're not going to fight me? I don't have to defend myself, because they're ready to defend, right? Like they're like, this is my story, I'm going to stick to it. And then when you sit there and honor them and show them love and literally just hold love for them, because that's what they want at the end of the day. Love is in the core of all of every emotion, every piece like that.
Yeah, I love.
They have that safety and love aspect. And if you allow them to feel safe enough to share their story and then shower them in love, you watch the alchemy happen without even doing anything really. It's just the
Yeah,
presence of being
yeah,
and allowing them to be.
yeah. And I see a lot of that in my work too. It's like safety is like the number one thing that everybody needs before they can do anything else, is just feeling safe. And then I feel like safety and being seen are like the two most important things. And then from there, you can do whatever you need to do. But just respecting that and slowing down and holding space for people.
And that is the divine masculine. If you think about it. So the feminine, in order for her to fully show up in all of her magic and juiciness, she needs to be feeling safe and held so she can be seen, right? And the divine masculine, like everyone's like, Jackie, you have such a beautiful divine feminine aspect about you and this creativity and this, and I do. But the way I hold space is from the divine masculine space. You are seen, you are held, you are protected. All of you belongs here. There, you are never too much. Because if my divine feminine feels like she's too much and not enough at the same time, she's not going to open her voice. Why would I open my voice and share my point of view and my wisdom and my sacredness with somebody that isn't going to value it? So she's like, why am I showing up? I'm not wasting my time and energy. Like, I'll just chill here until you're ready. But the thing is, it's not somebody else that has to do it for you. You get to do you. You show up for you. You show up for her. You allow your divine masculine to show up for your divine feminine, and that's the sacred union. And people always say, like, yeah, but my man doesn't do this or whatever. Like, I can't, how do I get my husband? You show up in you and be that presence, and the energy naturally shifts. And I'm not saying that they're going to completely do whatever, but they'll shift and they'll either stay or go. because you're showing up in your essence and that's what you want. Because guess what? It's doing nobody a service if neither of you are allowed to be all of you in that relationship. That's not love. If I said my whole life, this is part of my story and my journey is I went through many abusive relationships in those spaces. Why I carry some of this excess weight that I'm shedding is coming to peace and alchemizing these stories. And the story was Jackie's value tied to the pretty face and the nice body that everyone complimented. And I didn't want to be a pretty face and nice body anymore.
It wasn't safe. Yeah.
Not only was it not safe, is what I wanted at the deepest core of my heart was to be accepted and loved for all of me. My smart mind. Yes, like it's nice to have a nice body too, right? Like I want to have that sex appeal as well, but I don't want to be just seen as that. So I literally started protecting myself and shifting myself because in part of my mind was like, okay, now I'm not lovable. This is what I was told all my life. I'm not lovable. And I proved myself wrong. You know, every single day my husband tells me how gorgeous I am and how much he loves me and how amazing I am. And it's not that it's not true, but I have to teach and train myself to let it in and for him to mirror that back to me and be okay with it. And that's part of my journey of allowing myself to truly love myself in all shapes and sizes and know that this physical vessel isn't all that defines me. And that's not always an easy task to digest, but like that's
Right.
part of the journey that I'm in. That's the chapter of my story that I'm living.
Yeah. It's so surprising to me, like how hard it is to I say hard, but the idea that to rewire your brain to be able to receive things is powerful and magical and possible. And yet it's easy to default to saying it's hard to do, right? But it's like you have to choose your heart.
Yes.
And what's harder, right? Not being able to receive love and compliments, or finding that new path in your brain to say, yes, I am.
Yeah, and be like, thank you for mirroring that. I totally received that and truly meaning it.
Yeah.
And as you said that too, that like it makes me think of like video games because my kids love video games. Like if you do a video game in hard mode, yes, it's more challenging. You don't always quote unquote win the game right away. Like it takes more effort and practice in those building those skill sets. But I would much rather build my skill set than live life on easy mode where I'm not ever being stretched, challenged, or truly living, right? Like I'm not getting those
Yeah.
pieces that allow aspects of me to come online. Like that's what it
Yeah.
feels like as you say that. Which brings me back to like I got side tangent with my story. What I was going to ask you is when it comes to words, like I also hear people say there's certain words like the meaning of this word, like it may mean something and they use it and then they're like, I can't use this word anymore because it means this. If you look it into somebody said that this word means this negative thing. And so now I have to cut it completely out of my vocabulary. What do you think when somebody says something like that? Like what comes up for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think I'd love to know their example, but I think for me, I can tie it to when my son was diagnosed with autism. And I feel like it was relatively new in terms of like the social media scene and like awareness. And I was struggling so hard to find affirming language and struggling so hard to figure out like, well, is it right to be affirming? And like, what is like this from a neuroscience perspective and an emotional perspective, and just really trying to understand it from 360 degrees so that I could then use the appropriate language and um you know not and then I was like learning about being ableist and all of these words, and it was really like now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was using the words were so important, right? Because I wanted to be an empowering, positive force in my child's life. And when I created a little program for moms, other moms in my situation. and wanted to make sure that I was spreading the right, quote unquote, right thing. But one of the things that came out of that too, surprisingly, was, and I think it becomes more important every day because life and the world changes so fast, was giving myself permission to be wrong and to like, I learned in this recent program I was in, it's like we are all going to bump into each other and we are all going to make mistakes, and you cannot live your life trying to prevent them because it's just suffocating. So you need to like do your best, work really hard to do your best, and then if you bump into someone, you apologize and you change.
Yeah.
And like that's with that language has an awareness and understanding and people's perspectives has changed so much in 10 years. And so if I had like stayed stuck
Mhm.
and like wanted to have the perfect word, I never would have made that program for other moms. I never would have gotten out of the gate. There's a million things I wouldn't have done. So yes, so informing yourself, using the right words, but being flexible, again, back to the
Solving.
flexibility, and always be learning, always be curious, always come from a place of curiosity and kindness. And, you know,
I
usually everything will work itself out.
Yeah, because this is the conversation that I was having, and I'll give you like a specific example here in a second. But what my take was is you can attach a meaning to any meaning to a word,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to remember that this is my reality and what I'm creating. What is the intention that I'm putting behind the word? That's the energy. Energy speaks louder than words. Words are important, don't get me wrong, but the intention that you infuse behind it is super important. So this is the conversation. The word that they were talking about is there's something that was going around social media that the word queen had a negative connotation. And they were sharing with me because I use the word queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually seen it many things like women can't be a queen because this is what it actually means and whatever. And they're like, but what is that? Like, what comes up for you is that? And I said, old me would be like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong. I can't use this. I'm going to have to change everything. But there was a very firm but loving energy within me goes, Jackie, pause. You, what if it's not about right or wrong? Where's your heart? Where's your intentions? What is the energy you are programming that word with? Because that's the difference. Because queen to me is really about empowerment. It's your sovereignty. It's not about technically whoever definition of queen. How I see it is your beautiful feminine leadership showing up in that sacredness, owning your power, being magnetic just by being you. And there's this beautiful love in that aspect. That's what I see. It's not a enslaved word and things like that, even though some may define that. And I know Mary's like about to jump out of her chair in that. I want
No,
to
no, no, no. I
share.
think like queen is a very unique word in the sense that it's become an archetype.
Mhm.
And so while I see the dangers of it from the perspective of colonization and class warfare and all of those pieces, it's challenging, right? It's like it's an archetype. And so I think it's just important that it's within an ecosphere of, you know, how sometimes like on your website or in other things, you can like acknowledge that, right? And you can be like, yes, and. So, yes, that is true. Yes, those things happened and I disagree with them. And it's an archetype. So, for, the sake of all of the things that come along with that, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to, like, for me, I have to put it back on my website, but like, it's like a portion of my money is going to go to this environmental cause, and I'm certified by this, ethical marketing organization, and like putting all the pieces together of the story to support both in action and intention, and making sure that our intentions don't accidentally cause harm, right?
And at the same point,
So
like, I hear that too, but at the same point, I feel like I always have to defend myself. Am I trusting myself if I'm defending myself all the time? My energy, once again, should speak louder than words. If you know me, you know that I'm not a malicious person in that. If you would listen to the way I use and articulate queening that energy, it is an empowering way, never
Well, you
a
define it
hierarchy
over and
piece.
over.
And
Yeah,
without
for
even
sure.
saying that, like that's the thing, like I could put that in there, yes, I could, but at the same point, is that the energy I want to create where I always have to justify? Or can I say I'm going to be a living, breathing example of what it is, and that question isn't even going to come
Well,
across.
remember we were like one time when we were talking about your brand, we were like reinterpreting and we were like, well, your version of queen is actually like a fairy in the forest and like she's close to nature and she's like
Everyday
one.
woman that's walking
Yeah,
in life, like that's it's not about a queen sitting in a tower looking down upon the
right.
people. Like that's not what it is. It's literally a redefinition, and I think that that's what I do in my work in general. So how beautiful is that? It's about taking what we think something is and finding the deeper and creating it and making it our own. Like that's what it is. So you can find whatever word, whatever it is for you, and what are you defining? This is what I do all the time, is reframing the word. That's why a lot of in my work I say we play. We play and
Yeah.
connect. Shadow love, shadow connection, shadow play. Like that's what we do instead of saying shadow work. Because work, not that it's a bad word. Work is an important word, but it has a negative connotation sometimes of the to-do list. I have to do, I'm forced to do, there's no option. It's but so then I play with that, but it doesn't mean that I have to cut work out of my vocabulary altogether, right? Because work also is something that somebody can inner work. If I say that, yes, it has some of that energy of like, oh, I've got a lot on my to-do list. But at the same time, that's why I interchange it. But it doesn't mean it's bad. I am reframing what that word means. And I help people in their energetic system find a word or reframe the energy to more of what they're actually desiring. They say that this is what I want, this is my goal, but then but with that goal, the words that the language that they're using actually holds resistance and heaviness. So we have to reframe what that means. What does success mean to you? What does abundance mean to you? Because we need to rewire some of that, not only in our mind, but our emotions, our body, our energy, our spiritual essence, so they all can work with harmony. So we're not playing this tug of war battle against each other. Like we should not be in constant fight. You can have healthy debates within your being, right? That's normal. But we need to come back to love and that mutual agreement always. And that's what I want to create, a safe, cultivated space to be that and not always have to defend, because our intentions, our hearts, when we lead with our hearts, that should speak louder than anyone. If somebody looks at me, they can say anything. They can reflect to me and say, Jackie, I think that you're, if you say this, then this is what it is, and whatever. But that's a projection. And I used to, when I was younger, I used to take that to heart and say there's something wrong with me, and the people pleasing aspect would come in and I'd have to shapeshift, right? Now I can lovingly hold space for them and their process and go, I know where my intentions are. And that doesn't sting as deep as it would before. It may still hit off the armor, right? Like it hits off the surface level and ooh, okay, that bruised a little bit. But at the same point, it doesn't cut me to my core because I know my truth. At the end of the day, I know where my heart is. I know the intentions I have. I know the love that I radiate out in whatever situation, and we can agree to disagree. And that's the world that I want to create. We all can coexist with. That's the beautiful thing about being an American. We all can coexist and have different things, but we can, as long as we hold the mutual respect and mutual love and allow everybody to live their own story and not, you know what I mean? Like obviously, like
I
somebody with
agree with that.
intention.
I just know that, like, separate from this queen thing, I just know that there are times where we can have the best of intentions, but not be aware of somebody's reality or history and unintentionally hurt them. And so I just always hold that caveat that
And
you,
take ownership of that. Like, and we can
yeah,
have a conversation about it and find what's the intentions. And I thank you for
exactly.
being honest with me and sharing that perspective. Let me share my perspective. So then you're not making a story up with me. I'm not making a story up with you. Let's come from a healthy, beautiful, love-based conversation. Because if you
Yeah, the
take love,
curiosity and kindness.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, and like I remember in high school, like, yeah, I just remember that I've intentionally put myself in places and spaces and classes where I am a fish out of water and I don't know what I'm doing or anything, right? So that I can be better at understanding other perspectives and from humility. And like, it has shocked me, like, how much of my, growing up or my life, right, is like so different, I guess, or so unaware,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah,
That
I'm
sheltered
just fully,
aspect.
what?
That almost like a sheltered aspect. Like I feel like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah, yeah,
loving but sheltered aspect of life. And
yeah,
I had to slowly step out and realize, oh, there's more to the world than that. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
doesn't mean that I was in
And
the
I feel like
wrong
there's
per
so
se.
much more too. And like, now that, we're all connected digitally, like, I'm talking to you, you're in Wisconsin. I've never met you in person, but I've known you for a year plus, right?
Yep.
And like, and so it's like that also is like brings us, with new, granted, I did have a lot of Midwestern life, but like, if I hadn't, right, and I was just this Northern Virginia person, like, I wouldn't fully understand like what it even looks like there or what the culture is there, or and I could totally, like, especially if it was the Jersey girl was really online, I could
Well, and I think that's my
probably
point. Is if we shape shift and we change for everybody, we lose a sense of us. Honestly, honoring. Like I'm not saying like be completely disrespectful to other people, but we also have to remember our intentions, our heart, where we're at, because
yeah,
otherwise we're constantly shape shifting. Because I could say one thing and it can land with you, and you can be like, no, that's totally wrong, and we can shift it so it lands for you. But guess what? This person over here is gonna be like, what the hell, Jackie? Like that, blah blah blah. And you're constantly in this war of like doing the right thing. So for me, it's not about being right.
like finding your through
It's
line and finding
yeah, yeah. It's being intentional, letting the heart and the mind connect so the words can come out. That's my intention always. I don't want to be right. I want to create connection. I want to create safety and
high
ability
five.
to evolve. And this is something that's been mirrored to me a lot. They're like, Jackie, you may not speak a lot of languages, but you speak a lot of languages. Because depending on the environment that I have, I can shift the way I express something so it lands. And a lot of times my clients will say that. They'll go, Jackie, you don't say the same thing, but you kind of say the same thing. You will literally reiterate it and articulate it in a different way until it finally clicks. You're saying the same thing, just in a little slightly different pattern, giving me different experiences, giving me different examples for my brain to kind of try it on and tell you literally, it's like you're trying combinations in this bolt, right? And all of a sudden you hit the right one, it's like, and this whole opening happens. And you do it innately. You don't even like, and that's one of the gifts that somebody like shined back to me. That is just who you are. You're able to take the words, break it down into the energetic frequencies, and reuse it through different words until it lands.
That is
And
amazing.
like and that was like the biggest honor to be shined back, because didn't realize like that. I think is why I create safe space for a lot of people my whole life. Like people that don't even know me, they're like, I don't even know why I'm telling you my dirty, dark secrets. I haven't even said this out loud to anyone, but yet I'm telling you, and I feel okay with it. Like I'm not terrified. Like I'm shocked that it's coming out, but I'm not terrified on it. What is this magic that you're doing? And I'm like, it's because I think people finally feel safe and seen, and they know that I'm not a judgmental person. I'm human and certain biases come out sometimes, but I am open to them and I hear them a lot of the times in that. Or if somebody says, hey, this is what is, and I go, oh, I didn't even realize, like from my past experiences, because that's what our brain does, right? Our brain can only process on the experiences and the situations that we have come across in our life. And so I'm always looking in expanding that by listening to other people. I listen more than I talk. And I talk a lot, so what does that tell you? But I'm always picking up, even from a young age, I pick up the subtle things and I feel energy. And somebody doesn't even have to speak, and I know that they're having an off day. And that was a blessing and a curse as a young kid, because my job back then was the peacekeeper. I was meant to make everyone happy. I was supposed to be the emotional like keeper, right? So my mind told me, and the conditions. Not that somebody specifically said that.
Well, that's a survival.
Yeah.
Scary.
And so, but the thing is, and
Yeah.
that's what almost made
When
me
you're a
take my
child.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 15, I almost took my life because that was a heavy load to carry. Because that's what it was. Because I was always so in tuned and I didn't have the words and I didn't really know what was going on. But I had that hyper awareness. So I scanned the room before I even knew what was going on. I knew exactly if somebody was having a good day, bad day, whatever, without them even saying anything to me. But then I turned on because I thought I had to fix everything. I'm gonna give you can borrow my the thing is like borrow some of my sunshine until you can make your own. Like that was to the extreme. That's who Jackie was. And it's not that it was a bad thing, but at what cost to me? And I had to find the balance of if you know me at all, like one of my best friends when we first met each other, it was in the online space and we did this like group like gratitude thing. And she's like, the first voice message that you left, I was like, oh God. She's one of those like crazy bubbly, like high energy, like I don't know if I would be able to handle this. And she goes, that was my first instinct. But the more you talked and the more I like connected with you, I don't know how it's possible that you can be so uplifting and so bubbly and so much energy, yet so grounded and earthy at the same time. She's like, I've never met anyone that can do like you expand me and ground me at the same time. And I'm like,
That's
once again, that's a
cool.
beautiful, beautiful compliment. But
Yeah.
if no one mirrors that back to you, you don't even understand because that's just me being me in the same point. But it's not fake. Like it's not like a performance. Like when I was younger, I would tap into those essences and energies and turn them up a little more. But I'm naturally a very empowering, like let me see the silver lining, yet I still honor the storm. That's always been me is
I
like,
love that
let's try
line,
it out.
honor the storm. That's so beautiful.
Well, because that's what it is. Because so many people try to bypass the storm. Yes, I'm going to dance in the rain, but I'm going to honor the storm. I'm going to honor the tears that come. I'm going to honor the anger. All of it is sacred. All of it is needed. And that comes back to my through line is all of us belong. Excuse me, now I just hiccuped. All of the emotions and all those things, they all serve a purpose. But if you stop instead of trying to make them bad or wrong, and you hear their story, once again, we're back in there, and we allow them to share what's the message. Where are they not feeling heard, seen, felt, loved? Then we can fulfill our own need. And if we can't fulfill our own needs, how do we expect to help others fill theirs? Because our job isn't to fill their needs, it's to help them activate and fill their own needs. So then we are a whole society, wholeness, and we show up and complement each other. That's another thing, like my husband and I talk about all the time, is the you complete me statement. And I had to find my other half
Mm-hmm.
to a
Mm-hmm.
point, but I came in my own, we always say,
Yeah.
I came in my own woundedness and my own patterns, and he came in his. But our quote unquote brokenness, even though I don't believe that we're broken in, but you know what I mean? Our own wounding patterns, yes, they rubbed up against each other, but they were the perfect combination for us to tug and pull. And the more we try to push each other away, the more we were determined and we're stubborn. We were very stubborn people that were like, I'm not walking away. And we learned how to heal together in that. But I had to find my own wholeness, and he had to find his wholeness.
Yeah.
So we can come back and complement each other, not complete each other.
Yeah.
We amplify and expand. But we come from two very different walks of life. We have two radically different opinions a lot of the times, but we find this mutual harmony because two things can exist together if you so choose to make the alchemy and find the mutual love and respect
Mhm.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it easy.
No, but Gabor Mate says, exactly what you were saying is that you are drawn to the person that can help you like heal, like the goal you subconsciously want to heal those things together. And
And
you
they
did it.
expand.
So,
They expand. We literally, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship that didn't trigger me at certain points because I trigger him, he triggers me, and we get to choose how to look inside and go, what is, it has nothing to do with the other person. Like, what is that bringing up in me and why am I feeling all this overwhelming emotion? And then we can have these beautiful, we created a space where we can have these beautiful, honest, communications and breakdowns, and it's not about you did this. It goes, isn't it interesting? And doesn't it like spike your curiosity that this is the event that happened?
Ooh, I
And
like
this
that
is
too.
what,
Spike your curiosity. I love that.
because that's
I
what it
love
is at the end of the
that.
day is leading with curiosity and love. Like that's what I teach everyone is looking in always seeing the different sides of what's in there. Because that's what it's curious. It makes me my curiosity peaks is when okay, so you started banging the dishes around. And I've used this example before, but he's just, you know what I mean? Like that masculine, like grab whatever, like I'm frustrated. He's not frustrated at me. But my nervous system goes off to the like my abusive past, right? Even though I know he would never lay a finger on me. My body goes in fight and flight. Oh my gosh, like overwhelmed, full of like panic attack on pins and needles in that. And it used to be I didn't have the words to articulate until one day. It's not that I needed him to stop. Like part of me, yes, to stop the thing like that. Yes, that would be the most thing. Just stop what you're doing. But actually, that wouldn't necessarily do me service 100%. We sat down and I said, "Isn't it interesting? And doesn't it spike your curiosity that when you are banging the pans around, all of a sudden this fear and this anger and this like wanting to run and hide feeling comes out of me. And then my mind, the way it goes, it can make the connections of like I can see because I'm very self-aware. I can see how this pattern it brings me back into these states of these relationships. And instantly when we were younger and starting these conversations, I've been with my husband for quite some time. You know, I would never hurt you. I'm not that person. I said, honey, stop. You don't have to defend. I'm not saying that you're any of those people, but I find it interesting that my body is responding. My mind knows that, but my body is responding to this. So this is an
The brain
invitation.
follows the body.
Yeah. And I said,
Yeah.
this is my invitation for me to go, okay, I can rewrite this story. Not every man that is moving things around is a threat to me. Same thing as when we first started dating. I was told you don't go to bed angry. You talk it out. You have to work on these, you have to communicate and work on these things, and you don't go to bed without speaking it. So whenever we had a disagreement, and remember, we came from two different walks of life, two very different patterns. So there was a lot of different, not arguments, but different ways of seeing the world and not understanding each other because we only lived in our bubble. But he would go off into the garage and like blow off his steam, whatever. He didn't even realize he still says, I don't do emotions today, but he innately does. He goes in the garage, deals with his emotions, then he's fine. And then he can come in. But he was never taught, like his family would sweep things under the rug, blow off it and whatever. It just didn't happen. We'll just pretend it didn't happen. Me? No, I got to talk it out like that. I'm a talker. That's the Gemini aspect of me. I have a Scorpio and Gemini throughout my chart. Like I'm a Scorpio sun sign, Gemini moon, and a Gemini rising. So talking it out and communication is very important to me. And the depth, not surface level. But then we had to say that, like the story I was telling myself is every time he walked away and walked to the garage, he walked away, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about this relationship. He doesn't care that I'm upset. He doesn't even want to make this better. He's just blowing me off again. Once again, I'm in the wrong. These are the stories I was telling myself. Like, why can't I find somebody that loves all of me and is willing to work through the tough parts with me? This is the stories, once again. And what he was saying in his head after we had this conversation is, I don't want to project on her. I love her too much to let my anger burst out on her when she's not the problem. It's this situation, and I don't want to have that energy go into this situation and fuel it. So the most loving thing he could do is step away, deal with his emotions, and then be able to come back. And you could even ask him to this day, he goes, and I still feel very uncomfortable with the whole talking thing, but if you know my wife, she's going to talk about emotions. Emotions is her medicine, her special jam. Like she does the emotions and we're going to deal with it. And he goes, because I love you though, I've learned I find my own regulated state because I can't talk in the heat of the emotion. You need to honor me and allow me to work through that so then I can come in a space where I can communicate. And this is my development when you realize it. I mean, I was a psych minor for crying out loud. You have three states of your brain. And if
Exactly.
you're in the survival or the emotional state,
Exactly.
you can't have a rational conversation anyways.
Yeah. That's very insightful of him.
And that's why I always laugh because he's like, I don't do emotions. I don't know any of this. This is your stuff. I said, you do it innately though. Because he'll always say, I just bottle it up and seal it up and get rid of it. And I said, but you don't. You say that, but you don't. You'll literally like he's been telling me like our whole relationship, like when he can feel me get tense, go scream in a pillow. Just go scream in a pillow. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's unregulated. Like no, no. Now we have a pillow. It's actually a thwomp from Mario. That is our anger pillow that we literally like. It has like this angry thwomp face, like those little like blocks that come down. If anyone can't see what I'm doing, and we grab it and we'll scream it in. And I teach my kids that too. It's okay to do that, and it's better to do that than project your anger on somebody else. Emotions have purpose, and they all are serving, and they're all meant to be expressed, but in a healthy way that isn't hurting yourself or anyone else. You aren't supposed to live in that state, but if you allow yourself an emotion, not a okay, there's a difference between a feeling state, a state of being, and an emotion. An emotion lasts about 90 seconds, studies say, in your body. If you actually turn it up and allow it to express, 90 seconds, like a wave, in and out. An emotional state is slightly different. So like grief and things like that, like that's a whole nother, there's a lot of emotions coming in and out, but there's a difference. So it's not like I'm saying it's gonna take you 90 seconds to grieve. No, like let's clear that up right now. That's not. But an energy, the energy signal, because emotion is energy in motion. That's what an emotion is.
Right.
Comes in, you'll still have your feeling, your state, and your state of being, which is your a little bit of your emotions, a little bit of the senses. It's like all of them online that creates a state of being. But the energy, even if you think of grief, there's many different energies that go through. So one moment you can be happy, another moment you can be in complete tears. Then you can be angry because it's allowing all those states to move through for you to finally do it. And I always say with grief, it never fully goes away. Like I grieve my mom on a regular basis. There's different emotions that come through, but it's grief is just an expression of how much we loved and how much love that we feel like we quote unquote missed out. And the piece that helps me with my mom is remembering, because I used to say, it's not fair. She's not here. I just want to talk to her. It's not fair. And then like I have this like wise voice in my head, but Jackie, she is. So yes, I can't physically embrace her, and sometimes that hurts my heart. Like I can't physically embrace her that way, but she's energetically listening to me all the time. And if I'm patient and quieted enough that I hear her respond, it's no different. But I've cultivated that skill set to be able to open myself and trust myself and create safety enough for me to be able to receive that as well. And so like that's a little like, I don't know why that's side tangent, but obviously somebody needed to hear that piece to come out, that there is a difference in allowing yourself to be in the process. I know that was a lot.
I'm just trying to process the process.
Once again, this is my Scorpio nature. Like anyone that's in my world knows that surface level is not ever. Even my surface level is like probably somebody's.
No, we're swimming. We're swimming. Just keep swimming.
Catch your breath. It's okay. I do it all the time. Don't worry. I must have been a mermaid in a different life, because I swear I dive deep sometimes, and I'm like, how am I surviving in this space?
Well, you're always exploring though. You're always like following the thread and trying to figure out the next little 10 inches on the thread, and then but you're doing it so fast it doesn't feel like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, well, and that's literally how I see the healing aspect, is because my background is in nursing, right? I had 3.5 years of pre-med, and then I became a nurse. I went to nursing school and got my bachelor's in there. But with that, it was more of a systematic approach, like looking at the symptoms and like covering up the symptoms versus the root. And I realized who I be is a root-centered person. And that's what I do when it comes to my clients and things. You tell me the story, I see the little patterns, right? I'm grabbing the little threads, the anchor points up here in our current reality, and I slowly go with you hand by hand and we follow those threads. And guess what? Those threads split sometimes. So we go, okay, or we take a left or right. Let's go this way, see what's here. Then we can go backtrack. But if we don't actually go and find the root of things and we release from the other side, it's not that it's a bad thing. You are creating some release, but you're still like it's like cutting a weed off from the top versus actually pulling it out by the root. It's going to come back in different ways, shapes, or forms until we figure out what's at the bottom. And it's not a bad thing. There's a reason that those things are coming up. And this is why I call it like the parts work, as you would call it, is going to find the root, finding the story, the energetic imprint that is there. What is the mental story? What is the emotional imprint? What is the physical response and sensation that it has? Because just like NLP, like there's an anchor point in that part of your
Yeah.
fascia. Like that's where the subconscious lives in there. So you find that part in your body, that's somatics, and you go in and you feel what that is. Then you find the energetic imprint in the story with that, right? So then we can reclaim that soul aspect of us. And that's how I call my, like if I was going to put it in simple terms of what I do, even though that was not simple, but it's bringing all five of those pillars online because that's wholeness. It's you can't address one. And this is the struggle point that I had in modern medicine in my regular day job. I infused naturally all of this stuff in it, just kind of how I did, but I called it like golden handcuffs because there's so many different aspects I could share for my clients, but because of policy and where I was, like I couldn't, like I didn't have the
I
freedom.
was in pharma for years.
Yeah,
I'm
see,
fascinated. So that's why, like, I was like, I can't be creative. I loved it. I mean, there's so much about it that I loved, right? And you go into it because you want to help. And then you're like, goodness gracious, like, this is so specific and dialed in as to what we can do.
yeah, and it's not that no one. People ask that, like, did somebody tell you you couldn't? No, but it's implied. Like, I worked in respiratory. You know how many times I would love to be able to do breath work with people and work on the grief that's stored in their lungs and things like that. But like, for one, you have very limited time with
Yep.
the patients, and two, like, it's not it. You're not allowed. And if somebody would say that I was doing those things, then I would get in trouble because that's not
Right.
my job description of what I'm supposed to be providing in that
Right.
moment. And that's why I think I am so excited and happy that I get to start my own business and bring what I call true healing in that because it's not healing as in you're broken. It's healing as coming back into wholeness. And I can give you all these different tools because guess what? If you have these energy imprint around meditation, you're like, I can't meditate, my brain is slow, which is also a myth. But because there's many forms of meditation that do not have to be
Yeah.
silent.
Yeah.
That's why I always say that. Like I always giggle when somebody, I can't meditate. Like I don't have 3 hours. And girl, I don't have 3 hours a day. Like I got maybe 5 minutes, and sometimes it's in the shower. But it is what it is. And my mind, I wish somebody could just take like a fly on the wall aspect of my mind. My mind is never quiet. My husband laughs because I'm dreaming constantly. Like I don't think I've ever have a silent moment in my life when it comes to that. Like even when it's silent outside of me, my mind always has something to say. There's somebody always sharing their point of view. But in that I went on this journey and I collected all of these different resources, these different tools. And yes, in the toolbox. I know one of my mentors hates that. I don't want you just to collect this as another tool in your toolbox. And I said, but if you look at it, like I understand because some people just use it as check marks. Oh, I have these certifications and they don't actually embody the tools. And I get what she's saying in that point. I said, but for me, I fill my toolbox with the tools that I actually embody and I find purposeful. But those tools, we're not cookie cutters. Those tools don't always, every situation is different. So I could say, hey, Mary, this is the situation we're going through. I think that we try this breath work journey and let's work through this and like set this intention. We can try that. That can work for this. Tomorrow you have something else. We could do that. And you're like, no, my system is not there. My body does not need that. And instead we do some just movement without the talking because it doesn't have words right now. We need to get it out of the body. because I think that that also, I mean, this is gonna be a whole nother like tangent, but in the healing realm, I think a lot of the people don't realize we heal intellectually. We don't, and that's why when you say somatic is huge,
Yeah.
is we can logically see the problem and problem solve that way, right? But if we don't move it out of our body, if we don't bring the energetics and alchemize it, if we don't address and allow space for the stuck emotion that we stored, and I say stuck because we stored it. It's not stuck because it has to be stuck. We're holding on to it. Our body is so intelligent. It says, oh, she's overwhelmed. I'm going to just hold on to this and put it right here. And then we get those trigger moments and we go, okay, here's an opportunity. Let's open this up. Oh, nope, nope. She says that's too much too. Okay, let's keep her safe. Let's tuck it back in. And it keeps doing that until it's literally in a state of dis-ease. It literally is crying out. Your body's like, okay, we got to do something with this. Like, I
Yeah.
can't function anymore. I'm holding this.
Yeah.
And it's so it's like thanking your body in that. Like, and that's a whole other tangent. Like I could talk about my gallbladder.
Right.
For those that didn't know, I had 2 emergency surgeries to remove my gallbladder. And in that is part of my story is I say that now I don't have a physical, I obviously have an energetic aspect of my gallbladder, but I don't have a physical vessel anymore to hold the stored resentment of not only my life, past life, ancestral life, all of that. Like, I am literally, the divine said, no, we're working on this in the moment. We're going to be present. We are no longer storing this. We're working through. So, no more physically putting into that aspect any longer, that we get to really digest it. And if you think about it, like the point of the gallbladder is the bile to break down the fattiness of life, right? Like that's what I say.
And the
That
bitterness.
yes. And so
Yeah.
it's like that's actually the representation in the journey that I'm on now, is to now work through in that. And in this journey since my surgery, I've actually lost 22 pounds. And I don't even say lost, I shed, because it's really the alchemy process. And that's a whole nother tangent too that I could go on, is like weight is not just nutrition and moving your body. Your body holds on to things for many reasons. And so, why am I subconsciously, maybe, or consciously, deciding to carry that extra weight? And what is that extra weight? And now I get to unpack it like a present and unravel it and allow it to alchemize and let go and set it free.
Well, I definitely see a shift in you, 100%. Like not just the weight. Like you definitely do seem lighter and brighter since then. Yeah, for sure.
It was another step, another initiation on my journey to set myself free and allow myself to be fully expressed in a new level. And that's the thing, it's not an end. Being free and fully expressed is not an end destination. Stepping into your queen energy is not an end destination. It's an active choice every single moment. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get it quote unquote wrong. Whoever wants to judge it in that. It's not about that. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about, in this moment, how can I express this even more? In this moment, how can I honor me in my process in the moment without projecting it on somebody else? How can I be true to me and be aware? And yeah, it's scary sometimes to be radically honest with yourself and see the different parts and take ownership. I think that's another thing, is taking responsibility and ownership of a situation. It's very easy to point the finger at somebody else. Like in those moments with my husband, it's easy to say, you're doing this to me. Stop banging the pans because you're doing this to me. No, he's not. There's an external stimulation or stimuli that is activating something within me, but he's not in my body. He's not activating it. My body's activating it. So it's taking ownership. Yes, he is doing part to create the simulation. And that's where we find the common ground. It's not that he has to stop doing that, but now that he has the awareness, this causes a massive trigger for her. He's very intentional about, if he notices that he's triggering me, he will turn into support. There's now when he does that and he doesn't mean to, he'll stop and he'll literally come over and he'll put his arms around me and say, "You're safe. You're okay." Because he knows that that's what I need in those moments, because I've shared that story with him. That I go, like it's like my little inner teenager like pops in and goes, "Oh my gosh, we're the whole world's gonna fall apart. We're not safe." And like literally it's almost like a dissociation of the body and the spirit in that, because I pull out And I don't even, it's an innate thing. And I have to intentionally pull on those energetic things to get back into my body in those moments. And he'll be my grounding source in those moments. He'll come up to me and that's what he'll put his arms around. I didn't mean to trigger you. I understand, but you're safe. You're held. You're okay. And he does that. Even when it comes to my kids, like he'll see those are my kids are like the biggest things that can flip me because that's my heart outside of my body. And working through this chapter of having a senior that is about to leave and enter the big world with the state of the world sometimes is terrifying to my nervous system. But also knowing
Yeah.
that I want him to experience his own independence. It's kind of like my story of where I'm like, Mom,
Mhm.
I know you want to protect me, but this is my turn to take the pen and start making my own scribbles. And it may be messy to start with. And so I see that and I see the duality in the spectrum within me. And so it's like this dance of honoring that, but yet also honoring the feelings that are coming up. And it's this dance of like, there's this little boy that's turning into this man right in front of my eyes. Because anyone that is a mother, it's like looking at my child, I
Yeah.
still see that tiny little baby that's holding me around, pulling around the house by the finger. But at the same moment, and I made a post about that, but at the same moment, it's like I blink my eyes and now it's this man. As I'm walking into his car, I'm going to start crying to go to college for the first time. Like we're
Yeah.
going on our first like college visit. And he finally, I think he's 99% sure of where he wants to go to college. Like if you would have asked him like a couple of months ago, he'd be like, I don't know, I'll worry about that later. And I was like, the organized like pre-planner in me is like panicking.
Yeah.
But it's like everything clicked in spot. And he's like, Mom, I just trust myself. And it also is like a reflection of, okay, I did something right. Like, like not that I was right or wrong, but I'm like, I did instill the things. And it's also remembering myself and he mirrors that back to me too, sometimes too. It's like, Mom, you taught me how to be a man. You gave me the skills that I need. And now it's my turn to let him implement them in a way where he still has a safety net, but he gets to find his own way. It's kind of like watching your baby walk for the first time without holding their fingers. Like, yeah, they're gonna stumble and fall sometimes. But if you watch them, even when they lose their balance and they both fall, and then I wish you could see me. It's like that little like squat where they put their hands out and they look around like, oh, I'm safe. Like I watched him do that in real time, and it's like this like bittersweet like love, sadness, proud moments in that. And I just have to remind myself is like my job wasn't to mold him in what I wanted him to be.
No.
Like it's to guide him to be the young man that he is becoming on his own. I'm giving him the tools and aspects and perspectives. And that's how I look at parenting different. My job isn't to force anyone into my beliefs or anything like that. And I tell them that all the time. Like, your job is to find all the information and ask the right questions so you can get all the puzzle pieces and you decide what's best for you. And that decision can change at any moment. But you get to decide it. You don't let anyone make those decisions for you. You have to dig in and see what is my truth. And so from a young age, like that's what I wish somebody would have told me from a young age. But in parenting, parenting is not for the weak either because it brings out all of your inner child wounding aspects. Because there's moments where like he'll shut me out because that's what teenagers do. And I realized like, why am I so upset right now? Like, why am I so angry? Like, can't I give him 5 minutes to like move the emotions? Like he's built like his dad. He wants his own space to move through it and he'll have a conversation with me. We always do. But why am I so triggered right now? Once again, curiosity is peaking because what is this that's coming out of me? And I realized that it's my inner child and she's pissed because all I wanted is somebody to say when I said I'm fine to go, no, you're not. I love you enough to know that you're not and your emotions are not too big. And I've said this to him. You can be angry, you can feel all the feels. Your emotions will never be too big for me. I'm not going anywhere. So I will give you your space, but I'm here. I'm here when you're ready and we will work through it. And that's everything I wanted as a child. Not that my parents just didn't understand and have the emotional capacity and emotional intelligence to be able to navigate that because they weren't taught it. And that's one thing that I really want to cultivate with my boys, especially in the male community, I guess, whatever you want to say. Like, I want to teach them to be the new generation to honor their emotions. Not saying let them be over emotional. I'm not saying that either, but know that emotions are not the enemy. That we can live a really good quality life by not numbing it out and feeling it all and honoring it without overwhelming us. But once again, that could be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thinking about the whole idea of overwhelm. There's so much there.
Mhm. And overwhelm is not always a bad thing. It just means there's a lot. There's a lot going on. And once again, I think that comes back to, okay, when I feel overwhelmed, it's an invitation to come back in the present. And literally,
Spike your curiosity.
yeah. And like anchoring back, like that's how I like overwhelm is literally just a storm of different sensations, emotions, feelings. And it's finding my core, like a tornado going around, finding my core and watching them loop in and out. And that's okay. I'm not flying around with them. If I'm finding my anchor point and just breathing and allowing it to be coming back into the present moment, then it settles. Once again, it's embracing and loving the storm, honoring the storm, and finding the silver lining. But we're not going to jump to the silver lining without honoring the storm first. It's kind of
Well,
the
then,
rainbow comes after the storm, right?
yep.
Because the storm gets to move, clear paths. It's not always here for destruction. It's to clear pathways for you. And then the rainbow is the rainbow frequency is what I call it, is like the energy expansion of what is possible for us to look at the beauty aspect of everything because there's beauty in everything, even in pain. And I'm allowing those to be labor pains of love instead of looking at it in a different lens, right? I can live in circle in suffering, or I can decide that these are labor pains of love that are actually the contractions moving me into the next chapter of my story.
I like it. I like it. I also think that it would be kind of funny that if when you're talking about anchoring yourself with the storm around you, the movie Twisters, did you see that
Yep.
with Glenn Powell? I'm like, I automatically thought of his truck.
Yes. I laugh so hard because that literally is the visual of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like if anyone hasn't seen it, like he has a truck that literally has anchors in the bottom that he anchors in, so he literally can drive through a tornado. And like that's what it is. It's like I'm finding my own grounding cords. Knowing that he did
Yeah.
that for me. If you think about it, he could have like tapered whatever, but like it's finding my like the strongest anchors is the ones within me to get rooted in this present moment so then the storm can subside. Because eventually, if you allow the storm to run through, it will run through its cycle and you'll be able to catch your breath again. But it's remembering this is temporary. And many times I have to say that. That's my mantra of like, it's okay to feel. I am safe in this, and this is temporary. This too will pass. I am with me. I am safe. Because I had to learn my own self trust and create safety within me so then I can function to my optimal, free and fully expressed version of me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
You did it.
I'm still doing it. It's not like, once again, not an end
Right. Yeah, there's
destination.
no finish
But yeah,
line.
this is such a beautiful conversation. I want to make sure that I give you the floor and anything that you want to share on any of these topics, anything about reclaiming, anything about the messy middle, anything about what you do to really like hype on you and what you have created and what you're standing for, like what your mission is. And I know that's a lot, but I'm just giving you like different things. Whatever takeaway you want to wrap this up with and put a pretty little bow on the conversation to leave the audience with today.
Well, um, well, I think, since we were just, you were talking about the storm and the messy middle and all of that, it's just knowing that, as I step into this somatic copywriting and trying to support people through the holidays with sales that are in that are ethical, that are in tune with their values and their approach, that you know it's a safe space to not know, to step into not knowing. It's like, yes, to me, editing something that exists already is fun, but it's also, like you use the word alchemy, like it's incredible to take all of your messy parts and work together to come up with this new, like, Christmas present almost. And
Fresh
and there's
surprise in the unknown.
exactly, and like, just I just think everybody has a gift to share, and everybody deserves someone who sees that and supports that and cherishes that.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think
in
that's
my
also,
small way,
yeah.
I
And
hope to
what I
do
hear you
that.
saying is to remember that your soul medicine is how I would word it. Like your whatever your gift is and whatever your what's on your heart, there's somebody that's out there looking for it. You may not see it right now, but you are the answer to somebody else's prayer that they're
Yeah.
asking for. So
Yes.
it's when we can own that, trust ourselves, honor our heart, and put ourselves out there, there's this beautiful ripple effect that is possible if we so choose it. And it's not, like I said, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is
Because it's
a
so
whole nother
easy.
journey.
Exactly. And like I just see like so many people saying that templates are the answer or AI is the answer. And it's like it's a container, but you have to bring your brilliance into the container, and it has to connect to an ecosystem, your business and your ecosystem. It has to think about the next step and the step after that and the step after.
We
You
got we
ready?
got a little frozen there, so I'm gonna jump her back
Sorry.
in. We are talking about the step by step
Oh
evolution.
yeah, just that like, a template is great, or like these different, one size fits all strategies are great as a starting point, but I think of them more as a container, and a lot of times they're a one-off tactic. And so just encouraging people to recognize that the magic and the effectiveness comes from them. They are the unique story, they are the unique signature transformation, and to really figure out how to tell that. And in doing so, also just know that you're building a relationship with people, you're bringing them along on a journey. And so thinking about, whenever you're putting something out there, just thinking about how does it fit into your ecosystem, how does it nurture that relationship, do they have a place to go after that, so that all of your hard work and pouring your soul into something really is leading to a relationship with your dream client and giving them what they need to. Um, so yeah.
I love also that you said that. We talked about this on a side conversation, and I
Yeah.
don't want to like we could go on a whole nother tangent, but I want to bring it up. I think it's important for the listeners as we're talking about like AI and these templates. And the saying is like your answer is only good as the question you asked. And
Yes.
something that I
Yes.
was sharing with Mary, I said, what's beautiful is she was trying to figure out she's really good at visuals and things like that. And she's like, do I go visual? Do I do copywriting? And what I mirrored back to her earlier was the gift that Mary has is she can bring the vision to life. But what it is she utilizes these tools in like the AI to create and things like that. But it only creates this perfection, this beautiful essence masterpiece because she has the right words to utilize the tool. And she finds the words to express what the vision is, and then we utilize either the brand designer or whether you're going to take those words and then find it or use the AI tool. And I think that's what it is like not creating a codependency on these different tools, but actually truly utilizing, not using. There's a difference, there's an action. I'm
Yeah.
bringing me into it versus it trying to tell me who I am.
Yeah. I quickly realized it's like you cannot outsource your power, like back to your queen archetype, and that you have to, just a quick tip, like whenever I use an AI thing, I keep a Google sheet open on the side, and I like it really brings me back to my days of when I was in publishing, and like, having a team and training it to be very specific in terms of these are the questions that I have, but I have to unhook my brain from it and edit and do my own thinking, and then go back and leverage it as a very specific tool to do a very specific thing, because it's very easy to just think that it knows everything.
And
But
it's not even integrate. Like nobody can, we don't even know all of us
yeah,
yet. How do we expect
yeah,
a AI to do that?
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, that's been an evolution. I think I've been in the Secret AI Society for like 2 years now. I didn't even realize I was in it for that long. So yeah, it's quite an evolution, but
But I
I'm
love the way
glad that,
you do that though. Like you've always innately done that I've seen is like people can get lost in it's telling me and this is better than this is the better expression than me, but like remembering who's the sovereignty, who is the essence of the brand and making sure that you're not losing you in the process. And it doesn't mean that you can't utilize the tool. So it's like okay, it gave me this and now actually integrating. Integrating is it gives me these points. Now, what comes up as I'm reading these hooks that I told it to get? Which one? Okay, no, I really like this, but I would love to have this concept, and then feeding that into it. So it's bringing more of you. It's a co-collaboration versus a one-sided is what's coming to mind when I think of that.
yeah, and the flip side of that too is that, I've worked with people when you are unclear, if you haven't done the pre-work and you are unclear on what you want, it is a colossal waste of time. And you it's it's you can just be spinning your wheels and
Well,
not ending up with anything of value visually or verbally. So
because the thing is with a chat GPT and things that people don't understand, it's like a giant mirror. Is what it's
yeah,
doing. So if you're coming with confusion and you're not actively clarifying as you're going through, it's going to spit you this what it's seeing, right? This big kind of like twister thing going on. And if you're not anchoring the different points of what you're doing, it's just going to keep going. And it can almost leave you more overwhelmed than you
100%.
started if you're not fine tuning and figuring out your focus and you're actually co-creating. If you're expecting it to do everything for you, it's not
Yeah.
going to do it that way. And the thing is, like, you're finding your message. Like, for me, my personal experience is like I was trying to brainstorm with it, but when I was like, I wasn't really anchored into my through line per se, I didn't have the words for it yet. So I wasn't asking the like, specific enough questions and things like that. So it can give me some generic things. Well, of course, me being me, like, when it tells me, I'm like, how? This is junk. Like, I do not want surface level BS. Like, could I put this out there?
Yeah.
Yes. Could it be successful? Yes. But is this me? No. So, okay, nope, scratch it. Like, I don't want success off of something that's not me because then it's just an illusion. I don't want to create more illusion in my life. I want to really stand behind my work and be a living, breathing example of it. And
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm contradicting myself, and that's where the turmoil happens. Like we talked about before, like my business is I do a lot of my work is in the messy middle.
Well,
And when I try to stay in this curated aspect, how is that honoring my process and what I'm all about? Not that it was bad, but if I'm trying to create this perfect view and people pleasing and giving them exactly what they want and this is what they without once again I'm losing part of me in it. So it's finding this balance of
well,
having
I think
all of it.
yeah, and I think custom GPTs are great for that because it's like you can give it knowledge documents or like you can do it in Claude too. I like comparing Claude against chat and like and just being like, the different angles. But when you can start to give it a knowledge doc and say, like, I value the messy middle, and this is what I mean by the messy middle, and these are the things I'm doing when I'm in the messy middle, and blah, blah, blah. And then whenever you are doing the part of your business, whatever that you need that messy middle process for, then it has your
Yes.
vibe, your brain, it's going to go through the process the way you want
Mhm.
instead of the way it's
And it wouldn't
Silicon
know that
Valley
unless we
doomed.
tell it that. And that's the thing. Like I still
Exactly.
have to get me in it. Otherwise, I'm just creating a robot of generic things that aren't going to truly
Yeah.
land with anybody. Yes, it's talking about the big concepts that I may be passionate about, but it's missing the me. It's missing the special sauce that's actually going to connect and build relationships with people.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then on that, I want to make sure that Mary does shout out on her. She has a beautiful customized, is that what it's called? Customized,
Yeah.
personalized chat GPT. So talk a little bit about that.
So I started with, I have something called, well, I originally called it the brand catalyst because, like you, it was like talking about using, you're burning up the essence that you're giving it and then alchemizing that into something new. Um, Feedback from people was that they didn't quite understand it. So I'm calling it your brand decoder. But basically, it's active listening and giving you a series of questions to kind of extract your hero's journey, a lot of the key values that you have, to help create a psychologically aligned visual identity and verbal identity. And so I've, fed it a lot of knowledge documents and things like that. But now that I'm also I am the somatic copywriter, what I really am working on right now is a GPT that will help you audit your sales page, and it will give you, these are the things that we found on your webpage that could trigger somebody that might have language choices that are, less than empowering, I'll say. And if possible, it will suggest alternatives. And it's not just about the type of language, it's also weaving in the core, like buyer psychology and understanding, like there are 4 different buyer types, right? Some people want all the facts, some people just go on emotion. Like, are you talking to every single person in a way that resonates with them? That too is caring for your client, right? So just weaving the two together and really giving you what you need to know, what you need to tweak before you hit live.
I love that. How empowering. Like I love that the both of them, like one's the visual aspect and I got to play with that personally, so that's why I'm really excited about that. But I'm just hearing about the other aspect. I knew she was in the process of something, but more details. And how beautiful is that a jump start in really expressing your voice and getting that in there. And like so if you can't work with her personally one on one, like this is a no-brainer to jump in and get in there to help you with those somatic words and bringing out what's inside to the verbal, and like we were saying is playing with it, so it's giving you options. You say, ooh, I like this, let's go on this thread, and you keep going and you play like that's it should be a banter back and forth in that space, but bringing in, and I love that, like how I know Mary, but like with the empowering aspect, because you hear talk to the pain points. You can talk to a pain point in an empowering way versus stick the knife in and twist it. Like that to me is more ethical, more sacred sales aspects, marketing, branding, than it is just putting salt on an open wound. And I love that it's already infused in that with the different buyer things. So then you can speak to all of the different aspects of your village, I call it, your community, right? You can speak into all of their different spaces, but still honoring you. So you're not losing your part, because some people will be like, these are the 4 buyer types. Give me language that talks to them without like putting them so it's like it can seem separate. And the energy feel of it is bringing the energetics and still you in a way to express where you're speaking to all of them. It's kind of like how I speak in multiple languages to people
Yes.
innately. This is the bridge, the doorway you're opening and the bridge you're creating to bring it to life in your business.
Yeah. Cause like my, my copywriting teacher, she's like, there's 4, 4 types, and one of them is green. And she's like, Mary, you are like all green. Like, I don't even need you to take the test. Like, I know you're all green. And I'm like, yeah, well, apparently, like, I have to make sure I don't write my sales pages all green because that's all I want to do. Right. So it's good to have checks and balances and guardrails and
Well, and
inspiration.
yeah, you can have that as a strong point, so that comes innate, and then this is where it can stretch some of those other muscles, and that's how I see it. It's like strength. You're going to the gym and you're lifting a weight. Like the weight's not doing all the work for you, but it's helping strengthen that muscle. So then later when you're writing, like your chat will give information, but you're like, okay, I'm starting to learn the pathway of speaking this way and this way. And these 2 are my strong points. So I can do that in my sleep, but I'm starting to learn how to speak to all different aspects of the buyer archetypes.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's like, traveling to Paris. I took conversational French before I went to Paris so that I could blend in and really connect with people. And the biggest compliment I got was when somebody asked me directions. I was like, oh, so happy.
I love that because that is how it is. That's how I see it is if you can just get in the door, like people want to hear it, but if you aren't speaking to hook them, like I don't even like the word hook, to be perfectly honest. I feel like
Don't
that's
either.
like if
I
you're
don't either.
you're handing out the right invitation, but if the invitation, like if I'm not a like a visual, which I am, but say I'm not very a visual person or whatever, that's not what entices me. But it's more of a fragrance. So if my invitation is sprayed with lavender, lilac,
Mhm.
whatever rose pieces, I then wish that by you. It's not just the visual that they're seeing, it's the smell, and now I'm paying attention and I got that invitation. Like that's what I see is like there's different senses per se that you can activate to really allow people to come into your world, and then you just be you at that point. Like, but you have to invite them in, and that's how I see the buyer types is like you're creating that certain language in there to invite them so they can come in and see more. But it's one of those, if it's not like the first impression, there's so much quote unquote noise out there. It's like so many things are pulling for my attention. Like if it's not speaking my language, then it's not drawing me in quite the same as it
Yeah,
could be.
you only have 3 seconds to be honest, whether it's your website or your social. And I believe at this day and age, is watching my kids swipe on TikTok or whatever. I'm like, I think it's 1 second to be honest with you. And I think that's why visual hooks are getting more and more important. And you see with copy, like at least on social or on websites, bold copy is getting more and more, like fewer words, bolder copy. I do think the pendulum will swing. People are starting to go to Substack and other things that are not as algorithm driven, but it is really fascinating to watch the evolution and the psychology behind it for sure.
And I
For
think they all
sure.
have a place. Like that's the thing. Like, yes, people can be like the algorithm and Instagram, blah, blah, blah. But I always say I'm the algorithm. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
my energy, like, and I truly am like aligning with that. Like, my energy is the algorithm in that space. It's like my energy speaks louder than anything. And so it's whatever intention I'm doing in that. And it's reaching this part, right? But then it's an invitation for them to kind of see who I am a little bit. And then they can go into the podcast like this, or they can go into some longer form things to
Yeah.
know me deeper, or say my lives on Instagram or whatever, wherever it is, they can connect deeper. But I get to put the invitation for them even to be on the radar.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have to, it's challenging for me. I always want to do more than, I'll tell you funny stories super quick. In business school, the, we had to pass a writing test in order, like once you get on campus, they're like, okay, you got to take a writing test, like, and then, you're good to start. Every single person had to do it. I, being someone coming straight from publishing, was like, yeah, no problem. I got this. I failed. And it's because I was writing for the wrong audience. I was writing in a way, and I was writing with a different skill set, a, the different strategy, different
Yeah,
approach
different
than
lens.
business writing was. So it was a real, like, come to Jesus moment of like, okay, you are in a new world and you are wearing a new hat. And so now I just have like much more, I don't know, awareness and precision around before I start anything.
Where's the intention? What's my focus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me get all the puzzle pieces before I just outrun it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is such a beautiful conversation, and I know like anyone that knows me and Mary, like we have to like watch the time because we could literally be
Yep.
talking all day long
Yep.
in this. So we'll wrap it up for today, and I know Mary will be. She's always in my world, but I think you should be in her world. So in the show notes, make sure that you are checking out all the links and playing in her space and starting conversations with both of us, and talk about what really did you take away from this. Because I know that it did land. I don't have to ask the question is like, I hope it landed. I know that there is some takeaway in any, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Um, in this. So thank you all for listening, and thank you, Mary, for sharing your story,
Yes.
your wisdom, and all of you with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always good to connect with you.
Thank you for being here inside the Free and Fully Expressed movement with me today. If this conversation with Mary stirred something within you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your sisters. Tag me at Grow with Jackie B on Instagram. Let me know your biggest takeaway. And if you're ready to go deeper into this work, head to growwithjackieb.com and explore the ways that we can walk this journey together, whether it's through my weekly soul letters or any of my rites of passage programs, or just this podcast that reminds you of who you've always been. Remember, you are not just a woman, you are always a queen, and together we're building a movement of cycle breaking women who are reclaiming their crowns and changing the world, one deep soul conversation at a time. So until next time, here's to your rise, your roar, and your return to self.